So, welcome to this week's RecWired podcast. Today, we've got Amber Loach, who is from Prominence, formerly Prominence Social, but now the artist known as Prominence.
Yes, just about right. So yeah, what we were just saying, we dropped the social. It was never meant to be there in the first place. It was literally because we couldn't get .com.au as a domain, but we're in the process of switching back to just being Prominence because it does become quite confusing, but it was never meant to be part of the name.
So, Prominence are one of our newest partners at RecWired. Amber, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys do?
Cool. So, Prominence is a marketing agency specifically for the recruitment sector. How we work is we come in, we do a full half day marketing strategy session, put together a marketing strategy for your recruitment agency, and then deliver everything that's involved in that. So all our clients get a dedicated account manager, and then we have a team of about we're almost 40 people now across four, soon to be five countries who deliver everything that's in that strategy. So, graphic design, social media, paid advertising, SEO, blog writing, email marketing, strategy, obviously. It all kind of falls under our deliverables. And we're really kind of a alternative to new-ish recruitment agencies, startup recruitment agencies hiring internally. And you can obviously get access to the full suite of experts rather than just the one person in your team who may or may not have knowledge across all those areas of marketing.
So, those in Australia who are members probably would have heard quite a bit about Prominence, but
Mhm.
very new to the UK market.
Very new-ish. We're just over 2 years now since I came back. I used to work in Sydney as an account manager over there for almost 2 years before I came back to London to open Prominence UK. So right in the middle of the pandemic, which, always a good decision to make. But, turned out amazingly. We're here 2 years later. We've got 16 fully retained clients, hiring kind of continuously now. So yeah, it's all worked out all right since, 2020 and a global pandemic.
So, how did you end out in Australia? So, yeah, you went to university in Sheffield, you worked in the UK. How did you then go to Sydney?
Yeah, I just did the classic thing really. So I went to uni in Sheffield, did a degree in English language, moved to London, the only place to be once you finish university. I had a friend of a friend that needed a marketing intern, so just did that for I think maybe six months, and that was just scheduling social posts, reaching out to people for content, that kind of thing. And then my first proper job, in inverted commas, I guess was a marketing assistant in a education recruitment agency. So started out in an in-house role. It was the first marketing that they've ever done, and I was really lucky. It's definitely not the norm, but they hired a marketing consultant on a kind of part-time basis to train me in that market and the fundamentals of recruitment marketing. So I had real kind of intense one-to-one training with an expert of all things marketing. So yeah, stayed with them for maybe about 18 months, but in kind of typical in-house marketing and recruitment agencies fashion, there was nowhere really for me to go after that assistant role. There was no career trajectory. And I got to, I think, 23. I was like, I want to go do some traveling. So packed my bags, went to Australia, started in Perth, did kind of 6 months traveling around, and then did what every backpacker tends to do. Ended up staying there for considerably longer than I planned. I told my parents it would be 6 months. I remember the call ringing them and be like, "Hey, so who? I think I'm gonna stay a bit longer." So yeah, went out to Australia, did the backpacking thing again, got another job in as an in-house marketer at a recruitment agency in Sydney. They offered to sponsor me, so I didn't have to go and do the banana picking or whatever in Australia, which a lot of kind of backpackers do. And yeah, the opportunity was too good to miss, really, to stay a little bit longer. I was enjoying being in Sydney. And then after about 18 months there, got a cheeky little LinkedIn message from Chris South, who runs Prominence, asking if I'd be interested in going agency side. And that was the start of my Prominence career. So joined Prominence as an account manager, did that for maybe 2 years, worked on kind of a portfolio of different clients over there. And then, yeah, my visa kind of came to an end. I was ready to move back home. It is a very long way away. After 4 years, in the end, I was like, I miss London, I miss friends, I miss family, wanted to come home. And yeah, so that's what we did. And I mean, to cut a long story short, I was actually meant to go do 6 months backpacking around South America, but then COVID hit. So I was currently in the southernmost tip of Argentina when there was the call for all foreigners to leave the country. We're going into lockdown, so we frantically had to try and find a flight, fly home. And then again, COVID plans, but I was meant to be running the Malaysian office for a couple of years and then opening Prominence UK. But Malaysia borders closed for, I think, 2.5 years. So after about 6 months of me working with, not doing any work, just living with my parents in Nottingham for 6 months, we were like, let's do it. Let's open Prominence UK and see what happens. So yeah, Prominence UK wasn't really meant to be here, but it is one of those silver linings of a global pandemic, I guess.
It's amazing how many life decisions and business decisions have changed because of it. I so many people, and they've either built a company or they've pivoted a company, or they've something has happened, some move has happened that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of our clients now have kind of done the same journey as us, because our kind of niche market is that 5 to maybe 30, 40 consultants. So many of the recruitment agencies that I'm speaking to and doing sales calls with are the agencies that set up in that same period, and they're now 2 years in. They're starting to think about their marketing strategy. They don't particularly have the finances for a full-time in-house person, but want to start becoming consistent, starting to be market leaders. So we were a really good slot in there. We often talk about our kind of COVID journey in that sales call.
So for anyone that what would be your advice to anyone considering going working abroad for a bit?
Do it. Literally was the best decision I ever made. I also met my fiance out there as well, so I am slightly biased on that front. But for me, it was obviously so much fun. What more do you want? It was traveling with friends, earning way more money than I was earning in London. Obviously salaries are significantly higher over there. And it honestly was the best decision for my career as well. I know there's a lot. I did kind of expect to go over and work in a bar or in a cafe, and plenty of people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it really was an opportunity to build on the skills that I'd already started building here. And I think it helps that most recruiters in Australia are British. So, the market is very, very similar in terms of what people want.
So what makes recruiters different in marketing? So I've got my view, but I want to hear it from a professional.
Yeah, so I'm probably a little bit biased because I guess all my career has been in recruitment marketing. So I've only ever known recruiters and what they struggle with marketing. But I think it's really the biggest challenge we have is getting recruiters to think long term. It's such a role where you're thinking, I've got this job, I need to find this candidate, I've got this problem to solve, and I need to solve it now or in the next week. So getting recruiters to understand the long term benefits of what a personal branding strategy can do for one, but also a marketing strategy of the company that you're working for, and the benefits, having a bit of backing to the logo can really make your life a lot easier. And we do a lot of that training in our onboarding process as to, like, okay, guys, we know you think that marketing is this thing that has no ROI and is like all about like what you look like and your logo and your colors and things like that. But like actually explaining to them, like this is how it can make your life easier. This is how it can improve your LinkedIn in mail in acceptance rates. This is how it can bring in more inbound leads. And once you've kind of got that buy-in, everyone kind of jumps on board, and then we get an influx of work. But it's all good. It's part of our job. So
it's an observation that I've got, but it seems everyone thinks marketing is marketing's marketing, whereas actually, if you look, it's a bit like saying the IT department is the IT department. They don't just, they do help desk, they do support, they do coding, they do business analysis, project management.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than, IT.
Yeah.
But it often shocks me actually that people just say, oh, it's marketing. And it's all,
Yeah.
when you talk about all the different facets, they're highly specialized.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of the things that we always get asked, when they say, okay, we want I always say there's two types of recruitment agencies that I speak to. The ones that know exactly what they want and we can deliver that for them. And then there's the ones that come to me and say, look, we want to do marketing. And I go, okay, what does marketing mean to you? What does marketing look like? What's success, I guess, in marketing to you? And they sometimes struggle to answer that. And I think if in recruitment, people tend to think of it as, okay, we're posting on social media. And again, it's where a lot of recruitment agencies fall down is that they might hire someone to be, a real junior person that is a social media assistant and they do great social media content, but it's one element of a wider strategy. So yeah, I definitely agree. Understanding, and most of my calls that I have are really just educating people to what you can actually do from a marketing perspective more than me actually selling anything. It's okay, so look, we can do this and this is how this works, talking about SEO and what an SEO strategy can do for you, what email automation looks like, what how you can do paid advertising on LinkedIn. It's often an education piece around what is out there, and then we help them refine it based on the objectives that they're trying to achieve, right?
So I will ask you later, but I'm always interested in hearing sort of real life marketing disasters. What's the worst you've ever had to deal with? Obviously, don't name who they are, but
there's one big one that really comes to mind. We were running an event for a client in Australia. We were sending out the email invites and they'd given us a list of all the people they wanted to invite. It was their, I think, 5-year anniversary or something. And, we had our email marketing team and we had the list that was meant to go to. And normally I would jump on the call with the email marketing team, do the send checks to make sure it's going to the right list. And for some one reason or another, it got sent out without me looking at the list, and they sent it to the entire candidate database. So like 20,000 people got an invite to this intimate party that we were helping to host for this event. And that stands up there as being the worst thing to deal with in terms of like having to contact people who registered for this event, even though they weren't invited to it, telling them that they weren't invited. Oh yeah, it makes my stomach turn now thinking about that moment when I realized it went out to 20,000 people. That's sticks in my mind, that one does.
I can imagine. But there's going to be great examples of where you've got massive return on investment for organizations, because I actually think recruitment has become more and more about marketing. As you say, it's all about building your brand. How do you differentiate your, recruitment for me used to be a product. It used to be you've got the person, the other agency didn't. There weren't as many agencies. Now with things like LinkedIn, or obviously all the job boards, people have databases. It's the service, the product. Most people should have the same candidates and have the same customers. What makes you different?
Yeah, and it's definitely that, and it's one, identifying what makes you different, but then how to market it in a way that isn't crass, I guess. Like there's a lot of recruitment agencies. It's not just about shouting about what you do. It's about how can we market this in a subtle way so people know what we do and know what our USPs are, but we don't actually, it's not just putting a social post out that says, 10 reasons people want to work for us. It's maybe we do a photo campaign with all of your team talking about flexible working and what they do in their spare time, or it's a video testimonial. It's not you as a company talking about it. It's how you get other people to say it for you, and also how you can kind of subtly feed it into everything that you do. But you're completely right that the customer experience side of it as well, email automation, being thought leaders is also kind of playing a big part.
I think the other strange thing I find about recruitment companies is, well, there's two things. One, I think they have to market in a B2B way to their clients and a B2C way to their candidates. So it's quite unique in that sense. But I guess the other thing as well is just this sort of juxtaposition that recruitment companies have. On the one hand, they, and maybe it's just the companies I know and the companies I've dealt with, but they're promoting this vibrant office, parties, this life can be a recruiter. And then on the other side, they're, this professional organization that can you balance that customer value proposition versus an employee value proposition?
Yes, you definitely can, is a short answer to that. So what we always recommend, it's always one of the first things I ask as well, is that what is most important to you? You've got your 3 C's, right? Consultants, clients, and candidates. What is it, is the plan that you need to grow your client base over the next 12 months? Is it that you need more consultants? Does it need more candidates? And then that knowing this is the goal should really influence then what you're willing to not sacrifice, but focus on in terms of that balance, because it can't be completely balanced. There has to be, I guess, a priority in there. So we've got one client, for example, that say, look, Amber, we don't struggle with clients and candidates. We want all our content to be about our team, about working here, promoting us as a place to work, and that's fine. But we've got to explain, okay, well, if a client goes to your LinkedIn profile, they're going to think that this is all you do, and they might, you're not necessarily giving off the professional look that you want to do, and they're fine with that. We can advise, but at the end of the day, it's their decision. But I think the big one is between the recruiter attraction and the client content, and how do you find the balance there? Because typically recruiters want a very different type of content to the stuff that's going out from a client perspective. So where we tend to kind of find that balance is using Instagram for more of your recruiter attraction type posts. So, your lunch clubs, your incentive trips, the photos, that kind of thing, kind of leave on Instagram. And then you do a little bit of LinkedIn as well, but Instagram becomes more where you can be a little bit more yourself, a little bit more personality wise in terms of the company. Because you're right, you do get clients kind of looking at some people's LinkedIn profiles and going, are you just out all the time and paying you too much money? And then it can cause issues.
It's a strange one, because often recruiters are valued by the firms around how much they bill. So you see all these millionaire clubs, top biller clubs.
You
don't see the big four doing that. Our partner billed this much. That I think why do recruiters feel that, why do recruitment companies feel this is a badge of honor, whereas I think a lot of professional services firms would probably like to really play that down?
I don't really have an answer for that one, to be honest. It's just that is what recruitment is, and I don't know how it ever got to that point that there's so many lunch clubs happening and trips abroad. But I mean, everyone looks like they're having a great time, so it's obviously working.
I think I've certainly seen it. There was a video back in 2018, Hague Associates. I don't know if you ever saw this. It's pure gold.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. It was one of those, wasn't it?
So they're going to put you on the spot there, right? They've released this video. It's all gone off. They've obviously fired the marketing guys that they have currently. Amber, we need some PR. What's your strategy? What's your strategy for helping these guys? There weren't any females in the company. What's the strategy for helping these guys?
Yeah, look, the PR side probably isn't our strategy. I would probably recommend as a marketing partner that you actually do get some positive PR out there. But the kind of reining that back in, okay, looking at what you've done wrong there from a marketing perspective, you definitely want to get like a social post out there, maybe an email campaign apologizing to anyone that you might have offended. But look, at the end of the day, you've also always got the like, it was good from a branding perspective. Is the always the angle you can go down in terms of like, okay, well, your name is out there now, people know who you are. Now is a chance to actually, okay, let's create some really good positive content and pull back that image that you've potentially dented. But I don't think there's ever no coming back from that. Maybe they just got a real good catapult into going viral, and now they're doing loads of really good content that everyone's really engaged with, and everyone has forgotten about that video. I
Um,
don't know.
I'm not sure they made it. So,
Ah,
but
damn! I was hoping there was going to be a really
yeah,
positive
hoping there's a really
story
good
that
story
they.
there. But it is about getting it right and understanding your audience
Mm,
and making sure that that's absolutely on point.
mm. Yeah, and I think there's always a bit of a hesitancy to be a little bit different. So I kind of admire them for trying in a weird way. Obviously, it didn't quite hit the mark, but it's easy to kind of um, stay neutral in the recruitment world
Just stay safe, yeah.
and stay safe. Yeah, and we always say to our clients that we can deliver marketing for you, and you could not speak to us for a month and we'd still do everything that we said we were going to do. You'd still get everything that you need. Stuff would still go out. We'd deliver email marketing campaigns. We'd work on your SEO, all the things that are in that strategy. We still do it on a month, even if you didn't pick up the phone or respond to an email, it would still happen. But the best marketing ideas come from when you've got that engagement and that buy-in from the top level. So I love sitting in on board meetings, or sitting in on going into offices and just working there for the day to like really understand what are your difficulties, what are you trying to achieve. So marketing kind of feeds into that business plan. And the best ideas come from a mutual kind of respect of that process, because we're not in your business every day, we're not in your market every day, we don't know what clients are talking to you about every day. Obviously there's certain things that we know that they'll be talking about, but if there's been a massive increase in counter offers in the last month and there's a reason for that, you telling us that and we creating polls or posts or articles about it is a much better way of getting that content out there than kind of just being, oh, the marketing team will do it.
So the elephant in the room right now, we're end of November, early December, not sure
Yeah.
when the podcast will go out.
Mm.
But everyone's talking the R word, recession. So we're either possibly in a recession, going into various different parts of
Kind of
different.
lost track, really. Have you?
Yeah,
Are we? Are we not?
a little bit, but I think the recruitment industry, it's not the market it was the first half of the year, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not a bad market. By all
Mm.
accounts, job flow is generally
Yeah.
good. There's a nice balance of candidates and jobs, so it's a good market, not a great market, but a good market. So, what's your take on what are you seeing right now?
So from a business perspective, I guess as a supplier to the recruitment world, the the last I would say, well, August is always quiet. School holidays, you get all the out of offices, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And then we kind of had the Queen dying, the Prime Minister issues, the threat of a recession. I would say the last kind of 3 months has been odd in terms of I've had loads of interest, like so many sales calls, but no one quite ready to kind of commit to next year. No one, not no one, but less than we would usually see. Um, I think that's just because, there's been so much uncertainty in the market, and everyone's tired of hearing that phrase. But it's true at the end of the day, and we're fully retained. So we don't do any ad hoc work. We work with our clients on a minimum of 12-month contracts. We, see ourselves as a marketing partner. So for us, the buy-in comes right at the beginning, and the clients that we work with are, invested in marketing and looking at it from a long-term perspective. So I think it's been quite difficult for people to want to, I guess, commit to long-term plans when everything has been so uncertain. But what I would say is really like the last 2 weeks that, I mean, I've obviously built a great pipeline for 3 months, because now everyone's coming back to me and saying, yes, let's go for January. And we, as a business, we can't take, we have a very high standard of delivery. We cannot, take everyone straight away. Everyone kind of has to now get a queue for next year, which, is a really good problem to have. And it's great to see that people, okay, yes, a recession we may or may not be in one, but potentially the market isn't going to be as buoyant as it has been, but can see how marketing is going to support them through that time, and how important marketing is through a recession. And the businesses that do it are typically the ones that come out better in the long term. So that's it from a business perspective. I think from a recruitment perspective, one of the things that I'm hearing a lot, and you, Andy, might have heard the same thing, is that we've had 2 years of a really, really buoyant market. We've got new recruiters in the business who've never really had to do BD or cold calling, which is now becoming a real issue when we're going into a market where we are going to need to do BD, and jobs aren't going to be passed to you left, right, and centre, and people might have hiring freezes, and you're going to have to deal with that. So now the conversation is a lot around, okay, how can we empower recruiters to pick up the phone, and how marketing can tie into that, which, I could talk about all day. I've got loads of ideas for that kind of thing. But yeah, so that's really where the focus seems to be, is that client BD. How do we get there? Not just, inbound leads, but supporting recruiters to actually pick up the phone.
I think it's really important that if people look at marketing as a long-term piece. I mean, we are going into a market now where, I'm advising my customers to build. So it's, the first half of the year, no one wanted to invest in anything because they were so busy with filling jobs, making money, not wanting to let people down. Now I think people have got time to reflect on, building the employee value proposition, really training their staff well to go into the new markets.
Definitely.
I talk a lot about, building data, building contracts businesses, but I think marketing is just as important. And I when I started working with Dalton and Charlotte, it was really interesting because I felt I already knew them, because I'd listened to the podcasts. I'd seen all of their stuff online, and I think they're almost so personal in their business that you basically know them by the time you meet them, and it was very very easy to go into business with them. And but had we not have had that, there was no way that I would have had that same sort of buy into those guys. And I think as well, someone coming out of a big corporate and starting both my consultancy and also the RecWired network with Dalton and Charlotte, is the power that you can actually really punch above your weight.
Yeah. From a kind of marketing and personal branding perspective, that really is important. You can start, everyone talks about personal branding for recruiters, for example, and it's not necessarily quick wins. You might post 3 times a week for 3 months and not get any inbound leads. But if we're planning for coming out of a recession, that's pipeline building. People might not be hiring now, but you want to be forefront of mind when we come out of this the other end, that hiring freezes are off, candidates are looking for new jobs, that you're the one that's kind of been in front of those people for that amount of time. It's just another way of pipeline building, right? Is building that consistency, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's in email marketing, whether it's in paid advertising, whether it's blog content. It's building that consistency, building your pipeline, whether you know it or not. but so that, when the market is looking a little bit better, or even, just people might not be hiring in the first half of next year, and then they're, looking for the second half, and you've been there being consistent, being in front of them for 6 months, then, it really is a no-brainer that, okay, they'll go and they'll search. Oh, Andy was talking about that. I know that he does this. I'll reach out to him. And that's happened to a lot. I mean, for me, from a personal perspective, is I try and do have a good personal brand. It's one of those things that, I talk about all the time, but I really struggle to kind of get into the flow of myself, because it's, part of my day-to-day job for other people. But, I've been consistent probably for 3 to 6 months, and I do get now a good influx of inbound leads, really. And I don't really do a huge amount of outbound. So it's planning for that, which I do think recruiters tend to struggle with, as a whole, planning for the future.
It's one of those crazy things, isn't it? We both advise our customers, you should do this, you should do this, and then typically people don't do it themselves.
Yeah, it's
do as I say, don't do as I do.
Yes, that's it. And I think we definitely, as a company, have realized that in the kind of last 3 to 6 months. We're going through a big rebrand at the moment. We've really started focusing on our own social channels, because we've had a couple of comments where you go, oh, you're a marketing agency, you're not doing much on social media, and we go, oh yeah, well, we really should do some of our own marketing, but we've never needed to do it. And it's always kind of just fallen to the bottom of the priority list, when we've got our design tasks that need to be doing for 60 clients across 4 countries. The Prominence stuff falls right to the bottom, because, well, we've got clients that we need to deliver for. But we're slowly getting to a place where, okay, we're proud of our own marketing. And yeah, the new Prominence brand will launch January 2023. So keep an eye out.
Fantastic. Can look for that. So
yeah, I'm excited about my new hoodie that I'm going to get with the new logo and new colours. It's that's my highlight.
It's all about the hoodies. So
yes,
that was one of the fun things for me, was just around the merch. I think now COVID's over, the merch is back.
Yeah, merch is back. And then we always get clients asking us, have you got any fun ideas for merch? And I go, oh, so many things out there, like where do you even start? But yeah, no, it's merch is, especially this time of year, because everyone's thinking about Christmas presents.
So 2023, what's the market? If we're having this conversation in the end of next year, what would you hope to have achieved with Prominence in the UK?
So a big one for me is, and you're the first hearing this, Andy, so you're first to market knowledge, but we're opening an office in Sarajevo in Bosnia.
Oh wow.
So that's my biggest goal for the first 6 months of next year is really to build that team, get them, embedded, onboarded, working, with the rest of the company. So we're across 4 countries at the moment: Australia, New Zealand, Malaysia, and the UK. And just kind of a bit of a back story, I guess, for some context. I obviously moved back to London in 2020. Malaysia is where all our graphic designers and paid advertising specialists and email marketers and social media managers, all our experts are based in Kuala Lumpur. They're amazing. They do a fantastic job. But now the UK is too big and time zones are too incompatible for us to have to, we never want to be the business that's asking people to do weird hours and long shifts, trying to accommodate to both sides of the world. So yeah, we looked into other kind of countries in Europe where we could have a similar setup, and Bosnia was an obvious choice, really, for lots of reasons, mainly time zone, because they're only 1 hour ahead, which is great. But also in terms of employment legalities, I guess, everyone, it's very similar to UK law, same annual leave days, same paid, same notice period policies, all that kind of, intricacies of stuff. It is very similar to the UK. So that was a big factor for us.
Oh, wow.
But growing that growing that team. I'd love to grow my UK team as well at the same time. So I have Caroline, who does a fantastic job here as a senior account manager with me. I will be looking to hire someone in the first quarter of next year, as well as another account manager to support the new clients coming on board. So yeah, it's really growing this side of the world. Obviously, APAC is been massive for us. We've been over there for 10 years. So I want to catch up. I want to catch up to Australia and be on the same trajectory, really.
There's some really great businesses out. I mean, we work with RecWired as well, and there's a real vibe there. You know, that recruitment, support community as well, and there's some really good companies.
Yeah, I love the Sydney rec tech space. Like anyone who has worked in Sydney or worked in recruitment over there or knows that there's like 2 bars in Sydney that anyone who works in recruitment goes to. So that's all you need to do for networking. It was great. You just go to Ryan's bar on a Friday night and all recruiters would be in there, all your suppliers would be in there. And then that was your networking. Everyone was in the same place. Whereas obviously here it's a lot more spread out. There's a lot more kind of different things going on in different areas of the country. It doesn't seem to have that quite the same, I guess, culture of like everyone kind of being in it together in Australia. But it is a really really good vibe, and we're the only marketing agency for recruiters out there. So it's we're growing quickly over there as well.
Fantastic. Well, look, sounds really excited. Bosnia sounds fantastic.
Yes, I get to go over next week, which I'm very excited for.
Cool. So you're going over the whole week? What do you got planned there?
Just training people, really. It'll be getting the new team over there onboarded, making them feel welcome, getting all the processes and stuff in place, really, so we can hit the ground running in January.
Sounds really exciting. So, Amber, if people want to hear more about Prominence, how can they contact you?
Well, the LinkedIn is always the best place to be for recruiters. They're always on there. But yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn. So obviously Amber Loach at Prominence, and I'm always happy to jump on a call. Even if, like I said, a lot of the calls that I have are about just chatting to people about what options are out there. I'm not a very good salesperson, Andy. I'm not going to lie. I tend to just talk about like these are all the things that we can do, and then if it's something people want, they'll come back to me. So more than happy to answer questions, talk about strategy, and just be available really to anyone who is interested.
So you don't sell Prominence, you just market it to them, yeah?
Yes, exactly. I just market it to them, but yes, it's worked. It's worked up until this point. I've never done any official sales training, so I would definitely not put myself up there as a salesperson. But yeah, I think when you're, and I guess this kind of comes back to the recruitment side of things, when you genuinely believe in the product as Prominence or as a recruiter, as the job that you're trying to sell, it's a very easy conversation to have with people, and hopefully that just comes across when I'm in those calls rather than going too hard on the sales front.
Awesome. Well, as Amber says, contact her on LinkedIn, look at the work, and also as well available some information on the RecWired website. So thanks again, Amber, and we'll definitely catch up next year and find out how 23 went for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Andy. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
More than welcome. Thanks. Bye.